Good evening. Good evening. I am your host, Dr. Gladys David, and welcome to Women Wealth Wednesday. I have a great topic for us tonight to discuss, and I'm very excited to be here with you. So, have you thought about maybe fixing and flipping and you have this fear? Well, tonight's topic should help you dissolve any fear or whatever is preventing you from getting started. Don't fear the fixer and flipper. That is something I'm passionate about. That is something that I have spent the last 17 years talking about. Okay. A lot of people are scared to do their first flip. They think that they'll lose money. They're going to hire the wrong contractors or getting into their head. Tonight, I'm going to show you how to take the fear out of fixing and flipping and approach it with confidence and strategy. Confidence and strategy. Okay. So, and it's not an exhaustive list. It's I have a couple of points I want to cover with you today. It's just 4 points. So if you are listening to me live, then definitely take some good notes. If you're catching this on a replay, then pause it. When we do the replay, then you'll be able to take copious notes. And I also have a treat for you. I want to be able to share as I speak to some of the renovations that I've done. I want to be able to speak to you on some of the before and after and what you should look for. So therefore, it'll knock any concerns that you may have, what you're thinking of. Because renovation for profit is different than renovation from your own passion that you want to do in your own home. Renovating for dollars is quite different. It's all about making financial sense of it. And it's not about, the pastels that you really wanted that color on. No, man. This is not that. This is about, is it profitable? And what is my ROI? What is my return on investment? And with that being said, I want us to get started. Okay, let's get this party started. First, fear flips and how to conquer them. Number one, fear of losing money. First of all, if you are enrolled in She Rises Academy, welcome and congratulations to those that are enrolled. Class starts September 11th. And so therefore, bring your thinking caps on, especially if you have signed up for the Fix and Flip program. However, if you haven't signed up and you missed last week's episode, I had a graduate of the 2024 program who did extremely well, Miss Arlene McKenzie. Shout out to you, girlfriend. I know she is out there crushing it because she's on my team. But start small. Focus on manageable properties. When I say start small in the realm of fixing and flipping, you can even start with a condo. You can even start with a townhouse. It doesn't always have to be a single family home. It can very well be a condominium. So start small. Also start with something that the budget is going to be manageable for you. And so will the renovations. When I say manageable, don't look at a single family home that appears to need $40,000 to $50,000 in rehab. That is not a small rehab. That is a large budget, which requires a project manager on site daily. So when I say start small, it's okay to start out with a condo. One of my coaches, when I first got started, Robin, she started out with condos, and she started out in her very own building where a condo became available literally next door to her. And she bought that condo and she renovated it, and she didn't flip it. She actually held on to it. So again, the next one, she bought it and she flipped it. She eventually moved on to single family. I started out in single family and did not do condos or townhouses because the opportunity where I flipped is actually very good. It was a low entry point for me. I like to work in a class C neighborhood or B minus C plus. I like those neighborhoods. If you're in a class, you're going to learn the language of what a class A, B, or C is. So that's what I'm talking about. You will absolutely know what it is. So welcome. If you are trying to log in, I see Cindy, you are logging in. Are you there? Hey, Cindy, welcome to Women's Wealth Wednesday. If you can hear me, let me know. I think you're on mute. But anyway, welcome to Women Live Wednesday. So if you are considering fixing and flipping, absolutely what you want to do is start small. Okay, we already said that. The fear of making mistakes. Let's talk about that. Mistakes are learning opportunities. They're not the end of the world. Your mistakes is the opportunity to build in a safety cushion into your budget. So we always call it, 10% overage, 10% scope creeping. This is all part of your renovation. You're not making mistakes. These are learning opportunities. So you ordered the wrong paint color and it's on the wall already. Go with it. Don't change it. I mean, that is your opportunity to absolutely just say, hey, you know what? I want to do this. I want to be able to keep that color. So you kind of make some adjustments, make some shifts. Do not just decide, I made a mistake, that's it, this project is over. That is untrue. This project is not over. This project is shifting. How about that? Let's shift the thought process as opposed to mistake. The third thing that you fear and how to conquer them is, of course, fear of not knowing enough. Now, this is where I come in. If you are in the coaching program, you are going to have the guidance of not one, not two, but 3 different experienced coaches. All of us have 20 plus years or more in this realm. You don't need to know everything, but you do need a solid plan and a solid team. Consider me to be part of that team. I consider myself to be on your team if you are enrolled in She Rises Academy, because we are there to guide you every step of the way. But also part of your team, in case you didn't know, you need a general contractor. Do not let anyone tell you that you're going to be able to do a fixing and flipping without getting a licensed general contractor. There's a difference between having a contractor and a licensed contractor. I'm here in New Jersey. In the state of New Jersey, even our handymen, home remodeling must have a license. And that's good to know, because at least you have some recourse when you are working with a licensed contractor. If you should ever get into a dispute with your licensed contractor, then by all means, absolutely, you want to be able to pull that up and say, no, here's your license, and you want to be able to reference that license. But just because someone is a licensed contractor doesn't necessarily mean they have all the things on their team. If you're working with a general contractor, then you will absolutely have a plumber on that team. You will have an electrician on that team. To me, do not cut back on that. That is not a time for you to take shortcuts, okay? You want a licensed electrician. You want a licensed plumber. 3 things I don't cut back on when it comes to my fixing and flipping: the plumber, the electrician, and the roofer. We'll talk about the roofer in a minute, but it's all part of the package. If you are hiring a general contractor to do all of your renovations in your fixing and flip, then that team will have it for you. You don't have to hire one separately. So we've already just knocked out 3 points tonight talking about knocking out that fear. Okay, so as we move through it, you want to vet. I told you needed a contractor. Number 2, how to vet contractors and manage a project. That is very, very critical to your existence for you to stay alive in this business. You are not by yourself being in the fixing and flipping business. So here's I want you to write 5 bullet points, because I'm giving you 5 bullet points that are very germane to understanding how to vet contractors and manage the project. Bullet number 1 under point number 2, always get 3 bids. Compare the scope, not just the price. Let me pause right there. A lot of us like to go for the low hanging fruit. Oh, this is the best price because he came in lower. Not always necessarily the truth. When you are looking at 3 general contractors that came in at 3 different prices, you want to go through your punch list and make sure that you get everything you wanted on that punch list. And what is the variations? Why is it difference between contractor A to B to C? Is it the materials that contractor A is using that contractor B is not? It usually does make a big difference. That is going to make a big difference in what you are doing. So make sure you understand what is it those differences are showing up for you, and you'll understand. So if the other one came in lower, is he getting his materials from a big box store? That makes a difference too. The general contractors I hire generally have my punch list with me, and what they also have is the preferred places that they use as contractors. When general contractors are working with someone that does a dozen or so flips a year, they have a special place where you go get those materials from. Nothing against the big box places. However, the quality of the material makes a difference. If I'm looking at an eggshell gray paint, you can get that from Sherwin-Williams or you can get it from Home Depot. But if my punch list says Sherwin-Williams, then I expect you to go to Sherwin-Williams. There will be a price difference between the two, but be very clear. So ask the questions that you need to ask. Bullet number 2, ask for references and past project photos. That's very important because I'll give you an example. In doing renovations in the southern New Jersey area where I currently reside, I met with 3 different contractors on a project. And I have to tell you, it was 3 very huge disparities. And the highest contractor came in was actually local to that area. And the reason why he is local to that area, he knows all the red tape and how to get around the municipalities in that particular township. Now, that in itself is worth its weight in gold if you are going to be offering the certificate of occupancy as a bonus to your end buyer, because, you know, that sometimes is very appetizing. It's something that you have as part of your marketing, you know, seller supplying certificate of occupancy. You know, that can sway a buyer one way or the other, whether they will ultimately buy your property versus another agent's property. So all of these are tips, tricks, and in the toolbox why you should always make sure to check their references. In that particular case, I did use that general contractor. Number 1, because he knows the business, because he knows the area. And number 3, because he knows the municipality, he can actually get a fix and flip for me done generally in 3 to 4 weeks. That is record time. Record time to get a fix and flip. From the time I'm talking about, from the time we start demolition to the time we get it onto market. That is a short period of time, especially if the renovation is, you know, well within budget of $20,000 to $25,000. Even $35,000 is considered to be generally manageable for a single family home if you're not doing major renovations, knocking down walls, and, you know, dealing with leakages that may come about. So that all makes a difference into how you are buying that property and what your end goal is to flip it. You know, that makes a difference. So working with that general contractor in that community, while he was not the cheapest, it actually made the best sense for me to use him because I wanted to be in and out that project and on to my next. Bullet number 3, use written contract. There's no such thing as a handshake deal. We don't, handshakes are not how fix and flip contracts are made. You must have it in writing. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist, period. There's no reason for you to continue to have a conversation based on a handshake. You're setting yourself up for failure. We are talking about knocking out all the fears, right? Understanding that you are in this business. Don't fear the fixer-upper. You must learn how to flip smart and not be scared. That is what I'm teaching tonight. Flip smart and not be scared. And a contract is a must. Do not even think that it is something that is optional. It is necessary and mandatory. All right. I'm teaching tonight, so take some good notes. Point number 3, bullet number 4, set milestones and pay in draws, not up front. This one is very important. Besides picking the right contractor, we believe when we work with general contractor that understand our business and understand our business on what we're doing. We are fixing and selling for a profit. And if you are not using your own money, meaning you're not financing the renovations of it, your lender is going to require that as well, to be paid in draws. Now, what do I mean by that, Dr. Gliders? What I mean by that is very simple. You pay them in the beginning a third. And when that work of the completion on the punch list, on the scope of work that you both agreed on where he or she is starting, then guess what? You check it off. And if it's completed to the best of your abilities, to the best that you felt that it's being done, then you check it off and he gets paid then. Then you move on to a third. And then upon completion is the third. Another point that I want to make here is that you should not be buying any materials. This is a pause. Do not buy any materials for any of the product. You will actually breach your contract and breach anything that your lender requires of you. You're not into buying materials. That contractor is responsible for all the materials and the labor of what you agreed upon in that contract. It should be very clear that that is what you are doing and that is what you are requesting. And any deviation of that is a breach of contractual agreement. Okay? All right. And of course, you must visit your property often, but be keen and be verifiable. Now, what do I mean by that? I don't want you to hire someone and never ever be a part of this whole scenario of ever being a part of the project that you started. If you actually put this person in to be in charge of your product, then what you want to do for sure with certainty is absolutely manage your product. If you don't have a project manager, then what you want to do is show up early in the morning, middle of the day, show up in the afternoon. You are to babysit your project. Why is that? Because this project of yours is absolutely something that you are looking for it to be profitable. You know, this is not the renovation of your home. This is you're fixing and you're flipping for dollars. All right. So make sure that you are absolutely monitoring and make sure that you are dealing with it on the most possible way. Point number 3. My list is not exhaustive tonight, but I'm sharing with you what you should be absolutely dealing with. Don't fear the fixer upper. How to flip smart and not be scared. Point number 3 tonight, I'm sharing with you that small flips versus big rehabs and where to start. Now, I know we all have a vision board and we think we all watch HGTV and that's what it looks like. But the reality of it is it's not that pretty anyway. Okay, it is far from being pretty. So small flips. Let me share with you what a small flip is, but it can still be profitable. A small flip is cosmetic updates, paint, flooring, kitchen refresh, faster turnaround, and a lower risk. When you are looking into doing a fixer and flipper that way, that is a very small flip, and you can get that turnaround in anywhere from 4 to 5 weeks. Considering that if you're not tearing down the cabinet, a kitchen refresh can be painting the cabinets as opposed to replacing the cabinets if they have good bones, good structure, and it's of good quality. Okay, so that would be something that's a refresh. A refresh is keeping the cabinets, but replacing the whole countertop, right? So you may want to put a quartz in there because it has Formica. Nowadays, flips, we really don't see Formica anymore. That is so outdated. You know, it's either quartz versus quartz versus a cornerstone, quartz versus granite. It's definitely not Formica. So if it has Formica, and I'll show you some of the flips I have that I have as well. But if it's that, then you definitely want to upgrade it. Now, a big rehab. Let's talk about a bigger rehab. A bigger rehab is a bigger budget with definitely a general contractor that you are relying on. Structural repairs. Now, if you think that this is a small job, think again. Structural repairs is going to require an engineer. A structural repair is going to require a structural company to go out there. So these are full gut jobs. So you got the property for $45,000, $50,000. You thought it was a good deal. When you open it up, it is absolutely a disaster. So that's a gut job because there's also homes that you get at a low hanging rate, but it also comes with outdated structure and layout. We see that a lot in the southern New Jersey area where homes have one bathroom, and now, nowadays, families, co-living together need more than one bathroom. So that structure is really outdated. So that may require you to knock a wall down, get rid of a closet, and make that closet a bathroom. But that's more risk and more stress. That's not where you want to start. But if that is what you end up with, make sure that you have someone that's qualified that you're working with that it can handle that type of renovation. This is not a small job. This is about $50,000 or more when you start knocking down walls and restructuring and adding bathrooms where it did not exist, because now you're opening up those walls and you may find yourself, with the leak that you didn't anticipate. And that's when you say, oh my gosh, I'm afraid to lose my money. No, you're not going to lose your money because you should have budgeted an extra 10 to 15% for incidentals such as this. And we call that scope creeping. All right. Rule of thumb for beginners, I do not suggest that you go into big rehabs. I think that you should start with small flips. You should definitely crawl before you run and start with the cosmetic flip. The cosmetic flips are equally profitable. I started out in the cosmetic space, and very rarely will you find me in that big structural, because big structural requires big budget. And if you're borrowing money and if you're using hard money is expensive money, but it gets it done. And if you're working with a lender that's going to charge you interest only, that's fine. But think of your carrying costs and how long it's going to take you to keep this project going. So think smart, Always plan through and have your exit strategy ready. Because if you think about flipping it and it can't flip, what is your exit strategy before that? Are you going to hold it? Are you going to rent it out? So you have to have your strategy ready in place before you get in. So don't do the big projects if you haven't at least done a few smaller projects. That is very key to you understanding what the difference is between big versus small. And the last key point that I want to share with you this evening, and I will show you some rehabs that really that stuck to my heart from when I did them, and I'll share with you what the difference in structures were. Emotional resilience in the flip game. First of all, you're not flipping because you're passionate. You're flipping for profit. There's a difference, okay? Every flip will have its surprises, and expect the unexpected. I promise you, you will learn from each lesson. So expect the unexpected. Don't feel like these setbacks are a failure. They're part of the learning process. They're going to be part of your process. At She Rises Academy, this is what we're talking about: minimizing the risk. Okay, by having us coaches work alongside you when you are doing your fixing and flipping. I mean, that's the reason why you're hiring us. We are part of your community. We're part of your advisory board, if you will. And of course, build a support system. Mentoring. I mentioned myself and the other coaches in the She Rises Academy. Classes are enrolling up to September 8th, I believe. And other investors who've been there. Each of the coaches that have been in the She Rises Academy, we have all flipped. None of us are new to the game. We all have done flips, and we all have lots of horror stories that we can share with you that will make this learning very interesting. When we can tell you, avoid that, take notes. Please avoid that. Do not do it. And if you do it, then that's your learning curve for not listening. Celebrate your wins, even small ones. Keep your confidence high. Never, ever, ever find yourself to the point where, oh my goodness, I can't do this. Yes, you can. You can absolutely do it. Now, I did promise you that I would share with you some of the flips that I have in my past, and I want to share that on screen. So give me a minute, because all right, so oops, here it is. So I'm gonna share a couple with you. These are from Central New Jersey, not necessarily in this area that I'm currently living, but I want to show you the before and I want to show you the after, because what's important about the before and after of it is the way it looked when we got the property certainly isn't the way it ended up, and it shouldn't, right? It should not look that way. So let me just go ahead and share my screen and share with you what is going on with some of these. Let me get to the window. Okay, so this is a property that the top part, of course, is my before, and the bottom part is my after. This property was in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and it was a colonial style home. As you can see, it had the two plantation in the front. The others had fallen off. They had completely been knocked away. So we actually restored this property. Not only did we replace the roof on this property, it was brown, we made it gray, and then we accented everything else. So the roof was not the roof, but the plantations were missing when we first got it. And what we did was we actually added it on the columns there. Now that did require some structural engineering. However, it wasn't a knockdown from the ground up. It was actually an opportunity for us to build it up for where it was. It wasn't too complicated. So that was one of the homes. Here's another one, and this is in Kenilworth, New Jersey, where the home looked like this, very plain in the front. It had the brick front. So what we did was this was an interior porch. When you walked into the home, this allowed you to just kind of walk to the left of it. What we did was we kept the door where it was. We knocked it down, and then we opened it up and made it an exterior porch, and we added the plantation column. I'm a fan of plantation columns. I really love the lazy look that they provide you. And what made me really go with this structure versus something else was the community had a lot of homes with plantations. In Central New Jersey, this home has a lot of a lot of trees in the area, and this gives it that homey feeling. This home was just a plain bi-level with nothing else to offer. So we actually advanced it and we made it better from the outside. So renovation not only starts on the inside, it starts on the outside, because the first place now where people are going to see your home, they're going to see your photo, and they also are going to see the curb appeal of the home. If the home doesn't catch the buyer from the exterior, chances are they may not go to your property. If it doesn't catch them online, from looking at the pictures and looks inviting, they'll just pass over your picture. So, curb appeal is everything, and that is definitely part of your renovation. Here's another rancher. This rancher, a lot was done to it in Plainfield, New Jersey. This rancher it's in a Sleepy Hollow section of Plainfield, and it was just a plain, as you can see, just dated, just a very dated home. The first thing we did when we bought the home was we actually did the exterior. The reason why we plan to do the exterior before the interior is, number one, it attracts people. It's, oh, what's going on over here? The nosy neighbors are going to want to know what's going on. So once you have that curb appeal and we added 3 dormers to this property, because this was all hollow space and it was just dead space. This was the attic of the entire home with unusable space. We actually made this into a playroom. We made this into a playroom with the 3 dormers, giving you, of course, again, I added the plantation. The Sleepy Hollow section of Plainfield has that feel anyway. So wherever you see that is because it warrants that in the community. And this is it. It turned out well. You see how dreary the brown over brown is? It just wasn't popping. But when you take a look at this, it's very inviting. It's very clear. It's very open, it's airy, and it just welcomes you when you see the white over white, and very accent. The landscaping wasn't overgrown, it was just nice small greenery and shrubberies. You really get to see the house for what it is. The interior of the home, I'll share with you, it looked like this. The before was, this wall was here, and you went in up the stairs, you went around the wall to go into the kitchen. So the renovation called that this was a low bearing wall, so we didn't knock it down, but everything else here was a knockdown. So we were able to knock this down, okay? And instead of having an enclosed kitchen that opens out to the dining room, and these days an open concept is really what's happening for people. I want to make this a little bigger for you, because that open concept really matters. It matters to everyone. So now when you walk into this home, it's area, it's more conversational. You have the living room, you have the open dining room, you have the open kitchen with, instead of the wall there, now you have a breakfast nook for those fast-paced mornings. It just makes a lot of sense to be able to have this concept. This is another kitchen that we renovated where it was brown and dated. Remember what I said earlier in our conversation? If we need to renovate a kitchen, do we keep or do we not? Well, in this instance, we actually did not keep the cabinets. These cabinets were repurposed. They were repurposed and put somewhere else into the basement of the home. Because again, you see this is Formica. It's now been replaced with quartz. And the style of the home was much older. So these days, a lot of end buyers looking at homes, everyone loves stainless steel. So white cabinets, mixed match appliances. Listen, the house is dated. The floors are dated. Tile floors are dated. We actually put in LVPs, low vinyl plank into the kitchen and made it much more open. The breakfast nook that they had, there was really dead space, not usable. So we put in a standing island there that made it much more friendlier. It has a multi-purpose. You can use it to either do your prep work. It can be, as you can see, we put here the sitting stool. So it has multi-purposes. It can be a prep area, but it can also serve as a breakfast nook and a conversational piece. Nowadays, kitchens are one of the biggest conversational pieces that exist in your home. It's almost trumping the dining room, where people don't really use a dining room anymore. Everyone gathers in the kitchen. So the kitchen has become a major focal point in a home, which is why we absolutely spend a lot of time in our kitchen. Now this here, it was an open dining room an open, an enclosed kitchen. You really can't see much of it. Once you knock down this bearing wall, you opened it up, and all of a sudden, this kitchen not only looks bigger, it's more inviting. So I just wanted to share with you some of that. But I also want to share this bathroom with you too. This bathroom came from the Kenilworth project. As you can see, this is a very, very, very old bathroom. This bathroom here, when you start to see the yellow sink with the yellow tub and, of course, the wallpaper, you know it's time for an upgrade. But what we did with this upgrade is we didn't change the shape of it, which kept our budget down. What we did with this particular kitchen was this bathroom was we kept the shape but brought it up to speed. So instead of wallpaper, we tiled the entire bathroom. So the whole bathroom, first of all, that's low maintenance, and it's a high return on your investment. That means that bathroom does not need to be painted. Those walls just need to be cleaned. And we put in a cleaner sink that actually matches the walls. The quartz matches the walls on the cabinet that we use, and also the countertop in this bathroom. Kept the toilet exactly where we're. Even the floors were marble. So therefore, this is a higher return on your investment. Okay, here's another bathroom that I found to be really to the point where it didn't make sense to keep this. Let me just give you the action. It didn't make sense for us to keep this tub. A lot of these tubs is, first of all, it's not green efficient. It's not efficient from a usage perspective to have a tub of this magnitude, this size, where it's not even a jacuzzi, and it uses a lot of water, and you will have a very high water bill. So what we did with this particular bathroom was we kept the layout the way it was. However, we got rid of the tub, and what we did was we put a sitting bench and we added a usable closet in the bathroom. A lot of bathrooms that have these type of tubs are becoming extinct, and many people don't really have them in there. What's being utilized now is like a cloth foot tub, and that makes better sense. This was not the primary bathroom. This was the hallway bathroom, so it made perfectly good sense for us to be able to kind of eliminate it and use the primary bathroom to have a much better quality tub. And this, of course, is an older kitchen in one of the properties that we did. Again, wood on wood is no longer something that people are truly interested in anymore. It's all about the open concept. Even though this was open, but it was dated. The fireplace in the background that actually overlooked into the kitchen, it had these old panels in it. So instead, we went ahead and knocked down that wall and added some exterior wall and put in that stone finish, and it actually makes it really, really nice and worked around the fireplace. This was just a little bit that I wanted to share with you about renovations and how they really, really are not that complex if you take the time to design it right. Take the time for you to be able to sit down with your general contractor, share your vision with that general contractor, and see if he can actually pull that vision from you. If your general contractor is not able to do that for you, even after you give him your best guesstimate, and if he can't show you the work that he's done in the past that will make you confident that he can execute the work that you are requiring, then guess what? That's not the contractor for you. You do not want to complicate matters from that perspective. What you want to do is not hire him. How about that? Do not hire that contractor, because at the end of the day, you're going to be the one stuck. You're going to be the one stuck with this individual that is the one that's costing you money and not getting your project done. So again, I am your host, Dr. Gladys David. I am so happy to be a part of this journey with you. If you have not enrolled for your classes, She Rises Academy is starting September 11th. I will drop a link in this video so that way you'll be able to pre-register to find out more about it. And we are here live every Wednesday so that you can come in and learn just a little bit more, not just about me, but more about the courses and also the guests that are coming into our program. So if you do not have any questions for me this evening and you did not submit it in prior to me going live, then I guess we can just end this evening shortly. So thank you for being a part of Women Wealth Wednesday, and I will see you next week. Have a great evening. I am your host, Dr. Gladys David. Good night.